Okay, so this is part 2 to the previous video, so go back and check the other video. This will make a lot more sense. But I talked about Friday the 13th this year, the day of the Paris attack. If you convert it Gregorian and Julian, it's also the same as Halloween this year, and also the same as Thanksgiving. And this adds up to 41. Thanksgiving adds up to 141. Both of these numbers are associated with skull and bones. And that's interesting because literally, look at this. So the skull and bones, they belong in the synagogue of Satan. The synagogue of Satan adds up to 223. Even skull and bones, just want to point out, most people already know this, but their secret number or whatever is 322. So 223 is actually the backwards of 322. The Timberwolves coach, Flip Saunders, he was born on 223, announced his cancer on the 223rd day of the year. The first game of the season they played was against the Lakers after he died. The score even added up to 223. It was a tribute to him. But anyway, back to this. Also, look, February 13th, the first day of Lupercalia, adds up to 223. Friday the 13th, which is today, adds up to 223. I even mentioned Abraham Lincoln over and over, and he's born on February 12th, which there's 322 days remaining. Another quick thing I wanted to point out about February 12th, so it's 212. Literally, in all the Paris attack stuff, they mentioned that the band U2 isn't going to play now on tomorrow night. They're not going to play their concert. They canceled it. I mean, U2, think about it. U is the 21st letter, 21, and 2. 212. November 13th is also a day with 48 days remaining until the end of the year. I mean, it's all about the skull and bones. 48 days. Look at the 48th prime number. 223. I mean, what are the odds of that? What's even more, when I went to pause this, what are the odds that I would click pause when it said 223 or whatever? I mean, come on. That is craziness. So also today there was 48 days left. That means there's 317 days remaining, or it was the 317th day of the year. 317 is even a prime number. It's the 66th prime number. And I think I mentioned this in the first part, but 66 adds up to 149 and 41, just like skull and bones. And in the last video, I talked about Friday the 13th being 3 times this year. The last time was on Pope Francis's anniversary as being Pope, and the time before that was also this year. It was on the first day of Lupercalia, 213. But literally, and then I talked about the span of it or whatever, but Friday the 13th, February, March, November, because it happens, there's a sequence that it happens every year. But I mean, when you add that up, it adds up to 213, just like the first day of Lupercalia. So anyway, I kind of went back and looked at the list of the popes again, and I looked at the history of Lupercalia again. And anyway, the 49th pope is Gelasius I, and he's actually the last pope to have been born on the continent of Africa and the first pope to be called the Vicar of Christ. Very interesting. I think I even mentioned that in the previous video that I did on the popes. But what they don't mention on that little part is that he is responsible for banning the festival of Lupercalia. And actually, before I even go too much farther than that even, like the 13th prime is even 41, Friday the 13th. Gregorian to Julian is a span of 13 days right now. So it's kind of interesting. Talked about with the skull and bones, whatever. The Pope is in Rome. Rome is on 41 degrees north even. But anyway, this guy, like I said, the 49th Pope is the one who banned Lupercalia. 49th Pope. And literally, look on the year that he did it. 494 AD. The 49th Pope bans Lupercalia in 494. 49. Interesting because 49, was one of the first big numbers that I talked about over and over and over. The 49th prime is 227. And if you make that as a date and you convert it from Gregorian to Julian, it's the same as Valentine's Day, which is the second day of Lupercalia. There's lots of 49 connections. Even 22 divided by 7 is pi, 3.14. But I talked about Michael Jordan and the Teen Wolf connection. The Teen Wolf won the Space Jam, or won the Slam Dunk contest this year doing the Space Jam dunk. Michael Jordan, remember, he retired after 9 seasons wearing number 23. He came back wearing number 45. And the reason he wore number 45 is because Valentine's is the 45th day of the year. He played 22 games wearing number 45, and then he came back on his 23rd game wearing number 23 again. He even wore number 12 one time ever, and it just so happened to be on Valentine's Day, 1990, and it was the Bulls' 49th game of the season that year, and Michael Jordan also scored 49 points. So moral of the story, 49 is connected to Valentine's Day, but it's also connected to Lupercalia because of Valentine's Day. Anyways, you read through here about Lupercalia. There's not a whole lot in here, but it does talk about the William Shakespeare play Julius Caesar, and it talks about how the play starts off during Lupercalia. This picture over here even says that Caesar refuses the diadem when it was offered by Mark Antony during the Lupercalia. Even interesting, the picture says 1894. But anyway, let's take another look at Julius Caesar then. So, he died in the year 44 BC at the age of 55. Both interesting numbers, multiples of 11 even. But he also became the dictator of the Roman Republic in October of the year 49 BC. So he died in the year 44 BC. Interesting to point out, 44, the 44th day of the year, is the first day of Lupercalia. Also, you have Obama, who's the 44th president. Even 4/4 of this year to today's date, the Friday the 13th or whatever, the span of 223 days. Another interesting thing, Abraham Lincoln died on 4/15, so the anniversary of Abe Lincoln's death to today is also a span of 212 days, kind of like his birthday, the 2112. But I typed in 44 BC, 44 BC, the year that Caesar died, adds up to 149, just like Skull and Bones. Also, in regards to 44, April 4th, like 4/4, adds up to 144. 44 adds up to 144. Mark of the Beast, 144. Today, in the Paris thing, they talked a lot about the suicide bombers. Suicide bombers adds up to 144. But I'm going to skip over that. Julius Caesar was also killed by Marcus Junius Brutus, or a group led by this guy, and his name adds up to 63. I just find that interesting because Caesar was later replaced by Augustus, who was born in the year 63, even on September 23rd. Pope Francis came to the White House this year at 9/23, on 9/23. It's the 266th day of the year. He's the 266th Pope. He came to the United States on his 923rd day as being Pope. Also forgot to mention 44 BC adds up to 59. 59 is a kill number. And I talked about Ides of March being 56. What I didn't mention was that 1959 and 1956 are mere years this year. So literally 1959 was 56 years ago. 1956 is 59 years ago. I talked about all these other 56s down here. ISIS, 56. Paris, France is 56, wherever that is. Washington, D.C. I talked about the Abraham Lincoln. And the Lupercalia stuff, wolf was 56. Another 56 is Roman calendar, which sticks out a lot to me because we've talked about 923 over and over and over. And you know, Julius Caesar, he made the Julian calendar. So before the Julian calendar, it was the Roman calendar. Then he made the Julian calendar. Then they made the Gregorian calendar 433 years ago. I mean, literally, there's just no doubt in my mind they made these calendar systems so they could do this coding, so it fits. That's why, you know, the Gregorian calendar is now the most widely used calendar or whatever, because they prepared it, whatever, they got it all set up to fit everything that's going to happen. That's why Julius Caesar probably changed to the Julian calendar out of the Roman. But anyway, not going to go on a big rant. Roman calendar adds up to 56. That really sticks out to me because we talk about 923 a whole bunch. And on the Roman calendar, the Novum means 9. So November was the 9th month. So 923 is actually November 23rd. So interesting, if they're doing this 56 coding, it could be something to do with November 23rd. Who knows? You know, I also forgot to mention about the 49s. On the Hebrew calendar, the year 1189, kind of like the chapters in the King James Bible, 1189, literally is, if you convert it to the Hebrew calendar, it's the year 4949, at least up until September 20th, and then it changes over to 4950. Interesting, too, this would be the 263rd day of the year. And remember, in the prime numbers, 263 is the 56th prime number. Anyway, I didn't talk that much about the Paris thing. I'm just kind of waiting to see what the official stuff is, to see what they all come out with, or whatever. But one of the articles they had was Rob Lowe ripped for Paris attack tweets. And it's just so funny to me because remember in the World Series, the reason the power went out was because they said it was the curse of Rob Lowe and Fred Savage. And Savage adds up to 55, and I think Lowe added up to 55. There's a bunch of 55 references, like I mentioned before, and it all tied in even to the Teen Wolf stuff and Flip Saunders' death. Just find it funny that this guy would be a headlight or whatever. And the word power outage adds up to 56 as well. That also sticks out because you had I can't remember what commercial it was. It's this one right here, Hotels.com. They even had the Eiffel Tower right here. They talked about blackout dates. I know I made a video on it, or a couple of videos. This pointed over to the nuclear power plant, the first ever nuclear power plant or something like that. Can't remember, just wanted to point it out that they have the Eiffel Tower on here and blackout dates and whatnot. And that's why it just stood out to me that Rob Lowe would be in the news for making a inappropriate tweet or something. But I mean, once again, this guy, it's all connected back to the Nebraska Cornhuskers. This guy was in the movie Tommy Boy that takes place in Sandusky, Ohio, which Nebraska was the first team to play Penn State after the Sandusky, Ohio thing. Remember, Tommy Boy even says Herbie Hancock. His dad's company is Callahan Auto Parts. Callahan was the coach that was better than Tom Osborne that just randomly got fired at Nebraska. And if you don't believe me that it's all connected, look at this guy. Born in the year 56 on July 31st, the 212th day of the year. Or actually, 56 was a leap year, I believe, so that would be the 213th, which, once again, Lupercalia. Chris Farley was even born on the last day of Lupercalia in 1964. His name even adds up. Christopher Farley adds up to 98, just like Lupercalia. And I mean, whatever, this is a whole nother video. I could probably make a whole nother video on this. I need to do a little more research into it. Funny, though, when I think of Tommy Boy, I think of the very end, where he literally is the suicide bomber and he goes into the bank and says, all right, it's only take a second, but Whatever. I'm going to end it there. Anyway, have a great night.